Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Daivim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavad Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Om Jnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manohishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupa Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Deva Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Rama. So we welcome all the devotees to the Saturday Sangha, Saturday class. As I get it, we are discussing third canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, and this section is Lord Kapila, the son of Devahuti. Srila Prabhupada has written this small book also. Actually, it is a compilation of a series of lectures that he had given. Lord Kapila, the son of Devahuti. How many of you have read that? Raise your hands. Okay, few of us. So it will be good if we read this small book at least, if not directly from the Bhagavatam. It gives a very nice description about Lord Kapila's teachings to his mother Devahuti. So it is one of a situation wherein the son is preaching to the mother who is happily accepting the teachings. Normal life, what happens is that always the children want to preach to the parents, but it doesn't work for either of them. Here you find that Devahuti is also eagerly asking questions. What a mother. The son is so exalted, so she is asking. Lord Kapila is actually the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is an avatar. And he teaches this Jnana Vijnana Yoga, which is Sankhya. If one goes to analyze, Sankhya is basically an analytical philosophy, Sankhya. So it's a theory of the 24 elements and how creation comes into being and how the elements interact, what happens. So it's a little technical. And of course, the conclusion of Sankhya is actually Bhakti. The conclusion of the entire analysis is Bhakti. So that is what we are going to see. And Lord Kapila, that's his greatest contribution as the instructor of Devahuti. So there is a whole section prior to this wherein we find that Devahuti is married to Kardama Muni, how the marriage happens and how she is serving Kardama Muni. And then after that, they have children. And then finally, Lord Kapila comes, when he appears, then Kardama Muni leaves. So that whole section is very interesting. Actually, if you read Srila Prabhupada's purports, there are so many gems in between that you'll find that so many practical instructions are given. So, a little overview about the chapter is that Bhakti is affected by the gunas. So, how Bhakti in different gunas is carried out. So, that is today's section we're going to discuss. Pure Bhakti or Uttama Bhakti, respect for all other beings, and the power of time. So, of course, the latter two will come in later on. Today we'll discuss till verse number 13. But respecting all other living beings, considering them to be part and parcel of Krishna. That's the second part of the chapter. And the power of time. How time plays an important role in our lives. We have the normal tendency is always that we are conscious of time regarding those aspects that we are very attached to. Jaldi karo, because we want something to be done. Especially in city life, it's like that. आज करे सो कल करे सो परसों, इतनी भी क्या जल्दी है, जीना है जो बरसों. So this is exactly our situation with respect to Krishna consciousness. क्या जल्दी है. So generally when you take up Krishna consciousness early, people feel that this is spirituality is a retirement program. ये क्या उम्र है क्या? You will always hear that. So, but we don't know what can happen. Proximity to death is very near. Never know what can happen. So, just a little short overview of verses 1 to 14. Can someone read loudly, please?
After hearing about Samkhya philosophy, Devahuti now requests Lord Kapila to explain to her the path of devotional service, which she feels will help her to cultivate detachment from the activities of the material. Lord Kapila replies that there are varieties of devotional services in ignorance, passion, and goodness. Pure devotional service is spontaneous, uninterrupted, and unalloyed, meant only for Narayana, Vishnu, or Krishna. A pure devotee does not aspire for material prosperity or even the 5 kinds of liberation.
So this is what verses 1 to 14 say, which we will now dive deep into detail. So Devahuti is asking some questions about bhakti. She is asking, थोड़ा बताइए क्या है? What is the difference between mixed bhakti, different types of bhakti? ये सब क्या है? She is asking. And nature of time and birth and death of the jivas. She is asking about that. Actually, she is asking questions not only for her emancipation. She is asking questions for everyone. So seeing that, Lord Kapila is very pleased. So the Lord becomes very happy. Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport, Krishna becomes very happy when one is very compassionate unto others. दूसरों के प्रति दया भावना अगर हमने दिखाई तो भगवान स्वयं बहुत खुश होते हैं. Because the selflessness is a sum and substance of life. If you want to be happy in life, what is happiness? Happiness is your current situation minus expectations. We have so much expectations. ये सब होना ही चाहिए. How come ये नहीं है? You remove all those expectations, you see, you can be in the present and you can actually be happy. That is being in the mode of goodness. So, Krishna consciousness actually teaches us this, being very much in present and being conscious of Krishna. When you add Krishna to whatever we do, then that is actually it's a fulfilling life. So Prabhupada says, he says, material life is difficult, spiritual life is difficult. Material life is impossible. Says dedicated life is sublime life. So sublime, sublimity, that's what it is. It gives you a kind of bliss that is not even expressible. Cannot express. That is the kind of bliss that one gets. So Devahuti is asking this question. So Lord Kapila is very happy because of the compassion that she is showing. So compassion means what? Compassion doesn't just mean doing something for the external bodily concept of life. Srila Prabhupada mentions Bhagavad Gita 2.22. He says, compassion for the dress of a drowning man is useless. Somebody is drowning and we are going to save their dress. क्या मतलब है? So for the body, any charity work done for the body, it doesn't have much meaning. Some good give and take of good and bad karma is there, that's all. But real compassion means being Krishna conscious and giving them Krishna consciousness. Somehow or other, connecting them to Krishna. That's the permanent solution to all problems. The problems in our life are due to our past activities, karma that comes to us. So happiness and distress. Happiness, nobody complains, but distress, yes. Everybody's life, you will find there is a good quota of both of them. And depending on what phase one is going through, then you have more of something and less of something else. That's what goes on. So this is what now, as we go ahead, and this happiness and distress comes, so you will find Krishna in the Gita again and again he says, rise above happiness and distress. Rise above dualities. Dualities are the reality of this material world. सब कुछ यहाँ पर दो है. Heat है तो cold है. Happiness है तो distress है. You will find everything like this in this world. So I was always wondering when I read Gita that how come Krishna is saying again and again, become equipoised, become equipoised, become dhira, become sthita pragya. Again and again the Lord repeats. So I was wondering, एक ही एक बात क्यों repeat कर रहे हैं? Clear message है, why? But as that time I was very young. As you go ahead, then you realize that actually happiness and distress, material happiness and distress, which come of its own accord, have so much power, they sweep you off your feet and you don't realize what is going on. Problems come and then you don't know what to do, become confused. So that time, how do you remain equipoised? So Krishna is saying, remain how? It's actually Bhakti Yoga which gives strength. The chanting, if you do early morning chanting, that has the power to give strength. Practical Bhakti Yoga performed gives the strength to go through this, to go through life, ups and downs, with equanimity. It helps. You see, people, why do they take extreme steps in life? Because they can't go through any difficult phase comes. They can't accept, they can't convince their mind at that time that this is temporary. Very difficult. And the reason why we are having these problems is, of course, we understand it is our prarabdha karma which comes. But the real problems of life, as Srila Prabhupada mentions various places, he says, they are birth, old age, disease and death. Janma mrityu jara vyadhi dukha doshanu darshanam. Janma mrityu jara vyadhi dukh ke hi darshan dete hai. So how can we consider ourselves to be independent of this? Till the time we have this, there is misery. So permanent solution is giving Krishna consciousness. Therefore, that is how we should be compassionate. So therefore, Devahuti is directly asking, Bhakti ke baare mein batao. Directly she is asking. She is glorifying Kapila Dev. She is saying that Kapila, you are Yoga Bhaskara. That means the son of all the systems of yoga systems, all the other different yoga systems. You are the son. You are illuminating those who are deluded by false ego, ignorance. Sabko ab jagrit kar rahe hain. And you are responding with compassion. So she glorifies him. It's amazing that in the Vedic system, glorification is a normal part and parcel. You will find that in the Srimad Bhagavatam also, every hearer or everyone who's asking a question glorifies the speaker. Glorification is a natural, it's an outcome, it's a natural expression of appreciation. In our normal lives, in our fast-paced lives, especially, the only glorification we do is actually not, it's criticism out of envy. And the grossest manifestation of that you see on the roads. So on the road, then especially while driving, this happens. आप गाड़ी चला रहे हैं, even if you are not driving, even if आप पीछे बैठे या बाजू में बैठे, you will find that and you have a good driver, still you will find that peace is impossible in the car in Mumbai. It's impossible. Even if your driver is good, The others are there जो ऐसे कट मार के जाते हैं. And then you cannot do whatever you can, but you cannot stop the exchange of flowery language that happens between both parties. You cannot stop that. So this is the only kind of glorification that we get to hear every day in city life. But real glorification is like this, wherein can you imagine mother is saying to the son Yoga Bhaskara. She's fully realized. So then he starts answering Kapila Dev. Different paths are there according to the qualities of the performer in bhakti. So at the end we are going to ask you a question कि आप कौन सा perform कर रहे हैं? At the end of this, you can evaluate, self-evaluation. आप कौन सा perform कर रहे हैं? So two types he mentions, mixed bhakti and pure bhakti. So let's start from the lower rung. Tamasic bhakti. He says that bhakti which is motivated by envy, violence, pride and anger. So bhakti कर रहे हैं. ऐसा नहीं भक्ति नहीं कर रहे हैं. भक्ति कर रहे हैं. But there is some motivation like this of envy is there, violence is there, pride and anger. We find this, I mean, it's as we become more and more conscious, you find this happening so much with others and more so yourself. Sometimes, even while performing, we're doing some service and immediately we feel envious. वो कैसे? उनको कैसे ये मिला? And violence is there, sometimes gross or subtle. Violence is violence, wherein we speak things that are not good for the others, neither for us. That's violence. And pride. Pride is such a thing. Even they say the pauper is proud of his penny. Everybody is proud. Pride is such a thing that थोड़ा भी कुछ कर लिया, we feel that मेरी वजह से ही हो रहा है. So even in bhakti there is so much pride. A person who comes for say class first, say देखो मैं पहले आया, बाकी सब देखो serious नहीं, late आए सब. Somebody comes for morning program, he feels देखो सब सो रहे हैं, सब बदमाश लोग हैं, मैं ही हूँ सिर्फ. Malas, the moment you start chanting a few number of rounds, it's amazing how pride works. It's not that pride works when you are chanting 16 rounds and following everything. No, pride works when you're doing something better than the others. It's very relative. Somebody who chants 4 rounds, when they see somebody, अरे एक माला करता है, क्या है? Serious है क्या? This is how relative pride works, even in devotional. Pride is a disease. It is there within our system, deep within our system. And there is anger. If you come in the morning during japa time, so you will find that sometimes while chanting, devotees, they sleep, they doze off, like this. उसमें कोई बाजू में ऐसे उठाता है ऐसे, and then that devotee who gets woken up, the kind of glare that he has in his eyes, it is, he cannot speak it, but he wants to say, तुमको दिखता नहीं, मैं जाग रहा हूँ, जप कर रहा हूँ. In the Bhagavatam, there is this section wherein when Lord Shiva told Parvati, don't go to your father's house. मत जाओ, उधर यज्ञ चल रहा है. She said, यज्ञ चल रहा है, सब जा रहे हैं, मुझे भी जाना है. Lord Shiva said, मत जाओ. Then the look she gave to him. So the description is given as if she wanted to burn him alive. So that is how the look, that is for anger. This happens even with, so this is all bhakti. It is nothing to do with mundane. Today we aren't discussing about anything mundane. But you see how even in the performance of devotional life, we find all these elements are there. Even in our system, we find. Real maturity means we start seeing that the camera is inside, not outside. And then there is also separatist mentality. Separate. मतलब मुझे चाहिए and then मैं अपना करूँगा separately. Like, anyways, this is separatist mentality is there in Tamasic as well as Rajasic both. That's the next one, Rajasic or mode of passion. So performing bhakti, but it's in the mode of passion, wherein one desires enjoyment, ये करूंगा तो ये मिल जाएगा. The most neophyte example of that is, how people come, they consider the temple to be like a shopping center, free shopping center. क्योंकि करना क्या है, सीधा आकर भगवान को कुछ चढ़ावा दे दो, and then we have a big list. ये चाहिए, वो चाहिए, ये चाहिए. That's why you see people stand in front of the Lord and they close their eyes. ताकि बोल तू, भूलना नहीं चाहिए कुछ. So in this way people consider, थोड़ी सी तो लिफ्ट करा दे, बंगला मोटर कार दिला दे, एक नहीं तो 4 दिला दे, कैसे कैसों को दिया है, ऐसे वैसों को दिया, हमको भी तो लिफ्ट करा दे. So this is how most people who come to the temple, they come with this kind of mentality, they come with this mind. No problem. Dhruva was also like that. वही तो, हम तो सिर्फ बंगला मोटर गाड़ी मांग रहे. ध्रुवा तो asked for a kingdom which was bigger than his grandfather also, Brahmaji. There's no problem if one comes like that. The reason why he's mentioning all of this is, in our conscious practice of bhakti, we become conscious of this, and then we don't continue to carry the same consciousness. That is the point. तो जितना अंदर झांकते तो समझ में आता है, ये सब मिश्रण है, मिश्रण. And then we can isolate each thing and then focus on what's important. That's why these definitions are given. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he says, the biggest enemy to pure bhakti is mixed bhakti, which one considers to be pure devotional service. So we'll come to pure bhakti, what it is. So this is Rajasic bhakti, separatist. So he is also separatist. Sab chahiye alag se. Like there was a time, this, we generally mention this, that in Satyuga there was a time when people used to offer whatever they had to God. Satyuga. Treta Yuga, times changed. And man used to draw a line in between. He used to throw all his wealth. Whatever fell on the left side, that is God. Whatever fell on right side is mine. Times changed, things deteriorated further and came Dwapar Yuga. In Dwapar Yuga, man used to draw a circle. Throw all the wealth. जो सर्कल के अंदर वो मेरा और बाकी बाहर गया वो भगवान का. And in Kaliyuga, man simply throws the wealth. Whatever God can catch. This is exactly wherein one performs devotional service in passion. That I will get puja, labh and pratishtha. I'll get puja. People will glorify me. I will sit on the vyasasana. So people will mic मिल जाएगा बोलने के लिए. People will consider, they'll worship. Labh is there, profit. I'll get profit of so many different things. Pratishtha, I'll become famous. So many followers on social media. So if one is doing with this motivation, then it is not that anybody who has these things is not performing pure devotional service. It's not like that. But somebody who has the intention and then is working, is performing bhakti so that he can get all this. That is the issue. You see how subtle this is? It's very subtle, it's not gross, because we are already in the realm of bhakti. This discussion is happening after Sarva Dharman Parityaja. It is after surrendering. We surrender to Krishna in different ways, even during the day. Like when we chant, so we are surrendering. We come to the temple, we are surrendering. You are at home on Saturday afternoon and you are thinking, जाना है कि नहीं क्लास में आज? अरे वो ये बाकी ये काम है, वो काम है. Then you think, but for Krishna I should do it. That is called surrender. So all these practical activities we do in order to please Krishna, this is surrender, this is bhakti, this is how we advance. So Rajasic bhakti is that all the activities that are done, that is some benefit. Like that. And then there is Sattvic bhakti also, wherein one desires freedom from karma. कि बहुत डिफिकल्ट हो रहा है, मेरे को तो ये मटेरियल वर्ल्ड में आना ही नहीं है वापस, बैक टू गॉड एडी जाऊंगा, बस आने का ही नहीं है वापस. So that is freedom from karma, because it's difficult. But yes, there is one performs all duties nicely, offers the results to God, performs worship as a duty. करना ही है रोज, शेड्यूल में डाल दिया, रोज सुबह जल्दी उठ के जब करेंगे ही करेंगे. This is सात्विक. रोज ये सब करेंगे ही. निश्चित रूप से तो करना ही है, that kind of thing. भोग लगाना ही है, कुछ भी हो जाए. That is sattvic. Better than the other two, for sure. But then let's come to pure devotional service. The sum and substance of Srimad Bhagavatam is pure devotional service. The subject matter is pure devotional service. Savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhakti radhokshaje ahay tukiya pratihata ye atma suprasidhati. So the entire Bhagavatam is actually meant to inspire us to come to this point wherein we perform bhakti. Which kind? Ahay tuki apratihata. Ahay tuki means without any hit. Ahay, hit, ahay tuki. कोई हित नहीं है, अपना हित नहीं, प्रॉफिट नहीं है मेरा. अप्रतिहता, दैट मीन्स विदाउट एनी स्टॉपेज, ब्रेक नहीं. थोड़ा कर दिया, फिर हम देखेंगे अगले सैटरडे को. आज के लिए हो गया कोटा, अभी नेक्स्ट सैटरडे. दैट इज कॉल्ड apratihata, means it is going on. Why? Because it is there in the consciousness. Bhakti is not dependent on our external situations. External situations पे नहीं depend करता है. Whatever situation we are in, Krishna has put us in that situation, certainly because of our karma, but still surrender is not dependent on whatever situation we are in. One time I had asked this question to His Holiness Bhanu Maharaj. I said, material situation, if it's very bad, then how will one do bhakti? So he replied, you can be in the jail and still chant Hare Krishna and make progress. Even if you are in a jail, it means even if you are bound, even if you can't do anything, still you can do. You can remember Krishna. You can chant His holy names. You can do all of this. So, ahay tuki apratihata, ye atma suprasidhati. Actually, Rupa Goswami, he gives more definition of pure devotional service. Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karma adinavritam anukulyena krishnanu shilanam bhaktiruttama. He says, Uttama Bhakti or pure devotional service is without any jnana or karma. Jnana matlab, I'll get this knowledge, I'll get some information, I'll get something. मुझे मालूम है ये करना चाहिए, इसलिए कर. ये सब ज्ञान है. And karma means that I'll get some enjoyment. कुछ भोग मिलेगा. So then what is bhakti exactly? It's actually the loving reciprocation between Krishna and his devotees. So the activity done, Krishna Anushilanam, activity done to please Krishna and his devotees, that is bhakti, without any other desire. That means the more we think that by doing this, Krishna will be pleased. I'm chanting my rounds in the morning, this is for Krishna. In this world, we are always trying to please someone. In the Western culture, they have created a philosophy wherein they are trying to say that please yourself, don't need to bother about anyone else. But then they are the biggest anxiety and depression patients everywhere, you'll find. Loneliness is the biggest disease. Because they've created a philosophy wherein they say that you don't need so many people. Be self-sufficient, be independent. That is different from saying that you can take a break sometimes from people. That's different from saying you can have your own space. But when you function solo, then you live solo, you die solo. But actually, human beings are not meant like that. They're not wired like this. We are wired to enjoy reciprocal relationships. आदान प्रदान होता है रिश्ते में, that is what उसमें रस होता है. So रस से ही तो there is it's vibrant. One time when in my service in Gurukul, that time one senior devotee came and asked, so how do you feel? So of course that time that day was a very difficult day because many boys had done a lot of nonsense. So सारा energy चला गया था उन लोगों को समझाने में. So what naturally came out of me and my colleague, we said, but there is not a dull moment. There is no dull moment. When there are children, there is no dull moment. Because always something or the other is happening. So this rasa which is there is very, it makes life fun. Variety is the spice of life, they say. So variety, everyone needs variety. This variety, this reciprocation, it is perfected when we give that to Krishna. Bhakti is that simple. Itna simple hai. Krishna consciousness means what? It's such a simple definition. We are thinking, oh, Krishna will be pleased, he will not be pleased. बस जो उनको अच्छा लगता है वैसा करना. Simple. Of course, this is it sounds simpler than when we apply. But then in every situation, when we surrender to Krishna and remember Him, He also gives intelligence. Dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayanti te. कि कैसे उनकी तरफ जाना है. Complicated situations maybe. That's what Arjuna did. He was also in a complicated situation. Second chapter Bhagavad Gita. Karpanya dosho upahat swabhava. I don't know. Prichhami tvam dharma sammuda cheta. I don't know what is my duty. I'm confused. Confusion. Doesn't that happen to all of us? Every day. So we all have our Arjuna moments every day. फिर क्या करते हैं? Do what Arjuna did. Surrender to Krishna. So the best way of surrendering to Krishna is you chant His holy name. कोई भी situation practically you chant His holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And surrender to authority. Of course, Krishna sends, when we sincerely want to find Krishna, then He sends us a personality who can help us go back to Him. That is basically Guru Tattva in a nutshell. So we are sincere, we get a nice instruction. Not always easy, but it's nice because after that, you will be much more blissful and spiritually elevated. तो वो instruction follow करने से आध्यात्मिक उन्नति होती है. So we should try to do that. So this is the path, simple process. Srila Prabhupada said, simple for the simple. There was one Bhakti Vallabh Puri Maharaj. He was Prabhupada's disciple. His wife, she happened to get cancer. She was Prabhupada's disciple. And the story is in the 90s. So Maharaj has written a book called Simple for the Simple. Shivaram Maharaj recommends this book. So in this, it is mentioned how this Mataji, what she was doing, she was just doing her duties, simple duties, household duties for their family. And she developed cancer and she was in great pain. And then later on, it was very difficult for her to do anything. She had memory loss also. She was not even able to identify her own daughters or husband. She was not able to identify. But she continued the practice of devotional service, even though bad memory, but she didn't stop chanting. And then slowly, the husband and the other devotees who were there, they found she used to be in delirium. She used to be lost and absorbed in something. मतलब बाहर से पागलपंती जैसा लेकिन अलग तरीके का, not out of lost control like how generally madmen are, but absorption. So they suspected maybe it is spiritual bliss she is experiencing. So then they tried to speak to her, and she is talking about my Yashoda, she is talking about Krishna, she is talking about gopis, she is talking about all these personalities in Vrindavan. She is talking about that. So then they thought maybe spiritual consciousness is very high. Then time was passing by, her health was deteriorating, bodily, physically not able to function, but chanting was going on. Chanting was going on. Even they were hearing also, Krishna book was going on. And so this Mataji, one time she said, so her daughter asked her, what are you doing? She said, I am helping my Yashoda pack Krishna's lunchbox. So they couldn't understand what this is. But then observing her behavior, they understood that this Mataji actually has realized her Sarupa, her constitutional position, as being Ma Yashoda's servant in Krishna's house, who packs Krishna's tiffin. That was her service. She realized it. And she was not very outspoken about it in the sense, kisi aur ko batana hai. Shuddha Bhakti, they don't do that anyways. But she realized, and devotees around, they understood she is exalted. But it was amazing that she was not a sannyasi or a GBC member or a temple president or any personality or a big preacher. Nothing. Simple housewife who did her services, who took care of the children. and who developed this disease also. But despite everything, she realized her Sarupa, and then she was so blissful when she left this world. So that whole thing is documented in this book called Simple for the Simple. The whole story. Bhakti Vallabh Puri Maharaj, he left earlier this year. He left this world. But Mataji serves an example as somebody who performs pure devotional service. Certainly, the effect, the impact, the consequence is there. That is what is guaranteed in the pages of the Srimad Bhagavatam. How does one come to know how that one is making advancement or one is performing pure devotional service? You can repeat this. These two, there are two verses, one after the other. They are both put here. You can repeat this after. Mad guna shruti matrena mai sarva guhashaye manokatir avichinna yatha gangam bhasom udau lakshanam bhakti yogasya निर्गुणस्य हि उदाहृतम् अहेतुकी अव्यवहिता या भक्ति पुरुषोत्तमे Somebody please read the translation.
And one's mind is at once attracted to hearing these transcendental names and personality who is residing in everyone's heart. Just as the water of the Ganges flows naturally down towards the ocean, such devotional equity, uninterrupted by the material religion, flows towards the
So in these two verses, it is mentioned that मतलब ये है मत गुणा श्रुति मात्रेण. The moment somebody hears about Krishna, immediately their mind, it flows as if water flows. Water of the Ganges flows towards the. You see in Ganga Sagar, that scene is there. Water in a river, how it flows towards the ocean, like that. It's naturally attracted. Krishna Katha chal raha hai, baith jao. You know the story of Bilva Mangal Thakur? Bilva Mangal Thakur. In this month of Purushottam Mas, we are singing Chaurashtakam every day. Dipdan karte hai ab. Chaurashtakam. Oh, he is the author of the Chaurashtakam. He is the author of Govind Damodar Stotra. Govind Damodar Madhaveti. That one. He is the author. Bilva Mangal Thakur. Samadhi is there in Vrindavan. So Bilva Mangal Thakur, he, when he heard from the prostitute Chintamani that why are you so much behind this body which is flesh, nothing else? Suddenly it struck him. Then he goes to Vrindavan, and there actually he pierces his eyes because he's so lusty looking at women. He wanted to enjoy, and then he takes the hairpin of that lady and he pierces his eyes. He goes to Vrindavan as a blind saint. And Bilva Mangal Thakur, then he is absorbed in chanting the glories of the Lord. The Lord personally comes and gives him darshan. And it is there that he composes such beautiful poetry. Krishna Karanamrita also he composes. One great example of a person who got so absorbed and lost in hearing about Krishna was Narsimha Mehta. Narsimha Mehta story. In Gujarati, there was a film called Koer Bainu Mameru. It's an interesting film. I haven't watched it. Somebody told me this is very interesting because how Narsimha Mehta's daughter, every time, whenever there was difficulty, Krishna came in Narsimha Mehta's life every time because he was absorbed in hearing. He was absorbed in performing his devotional activities. Krishna came and did all whatever was needed. So in that, how his daughter's marriage and everything related to that, how it was arranged, that is what is mentioned. It's very inspiring. We have to inspire ourselves in bhakti. It's our own responsibility. Through our intelligence, buddhi yoga, we should inspire ourselves. Here, read content which is going to inspire us in bhakti, not inspire us in karma or gyan. even though those traces are there. That is the practice of pure bhakti. So this personality, Narsi Mehta, he was a very extraordinary saint. In Gujarati literature, he has so many poems on Lord Krishna. This Vaishnava Janto also is written by him, Narsi Mehta. So one time, Narsi Mehta, he was he actually his daughter's marriage was supposed to happen. It was scheduled, and that was supposed to happen after 4 days. And nothing in the house. He was poor, and all the time, what he used to do is to perform bhajan. He used to read Bhagavad Gita, and he used to go to the Lord and say that, "Dear Lord, this is your family. You manage." And surprisingly, everything used to work out like that. Somehow, at the last moment, it used to all work out properly. Krishna is personally involved. So one time he went, his wife sent him out saying, "There is nothing in the house. We have a marriage in 4 days. Go and beg something and get something." So then Narsi Mehta went, he went to the nearby village. And there he saw that there was a big banner there, Bhagavad Katha. So Bhagavad Katha at that time didn't used to happen 2 hours every day for 7 days like it happens nowadays. It used to happen for 7 days and 7 nights, continuous. Such kind of speakers and hearers both were there, like Shukdev Goswami, Maharaj Parikshit, and these personalities, sages of Naimi Sharanya, Sutta Goswami. 7 days, 7 nights, continuous katha. So Vilvamangal, Narsi Mehta comes there and he sat. And he sat there, so he sat completely. That means that 7 days went by. He didn't realize. He got up after the katha ended on the 7th day. He had come on the 1st day. So 7th day finished, then he got up. Then he realized, oh, 3 days ago was my daughter's marriage. So he thought, now obviously the marriage must not have happened. So my wife is going to kill me now. Let us see what happens. So he's going back in the village. And surprisingly, when he was walking towards his home, he heard that people are talking. Villagers are talking. What are they saying? Somebody is saying, "Did you know Narsi Mehta daughter's marriage? We never saw such a marriage. We never saw such a elaborate marriage. We never saw." Then he couldn't believe it. He said, "This may not be mine." So he went a little ahead. There also they were talking. Narsi Mehta daughter's marriage. We have never seen something like this in our village. So he reached home, wanting to know what happened. And he was expecting some beating from the wife. But what he got was that just surprised look. The wife came to him and said, "Where were you all this while?" And he said, "I was in the nearby village." And she said, "Ha, I know you were collecting and you were sending so much of stuff." Narsi Mehta said, "What?" So wife said, "Yeah, there was some boy who was coming, dark colored boy. He was coming and bringing so much, saying Baba Gosai is sending." So like that he brought heaps of rice. He brought so many grains. Then after that he brought gold and silver also. And I'm asking, who's sending? Who's sending? He said, "You are sending." So through this, Narsi Mehta understood. Who was it? Because Krishna says, "Ananyas chintayanto mam ye jana pariupasite tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogaksheham vahameham." So for those who are devoted to me, I preserve what they have and I carry what they lack. So this faith is what we should function with. If we also want the reciprocity, if we want Krishna to reciprocate, Krishna will preserve what I have. Because if we have to work hard to accumulate, so why will Krishna provide? Because if we want something, if we need something, and if we go to Krishna and we are engaged in his devotional service, Krishna can give us, but we have to allow him to give. If that also we do, then what he will do? So this is what happens when a devotee, a person advances in devotional life, when he wants to hear more about Krishna. Because he's developed love. That person has developed love. So this is an example. This verse mentions about, because now Kapila Dev has mentioned about pure bhakti, and then he's given a symptom. सिम्टम. सो सिम्टम क्या है? इसको सुनना है, भगवान के बारे में सुनना है, पढ़ना है. सो वी कैन टेस्ट आवरसेल्व्स, कितना सुनना है, कितना पढ़ना है. That much, to that degree, we have also developed some attraction, some love to Krishna. The next verse talks about the different types of liberation. Liberation, matlab mukti. So mukti is sometimes we all desire when we go through difficult times. बस भगवान अभी निकाल दो इसमें से. Too much. Businessmen especially those who invest money, invariably money gets stuck. It's interesting. I analyze this that ऐसा कोई नहीं होता है जो करोड़पति व्यक्ति है ना, कभी भी करोड़ पैसा होता नहीं है उसके पास. Anybody, actually, it is very interesting if we deeply analyzed karma and how actually it works. I can analyze because I don't have anything. So a person who has money or who has invested so much and is endeavoring to do it, you will find that actually, you see, your status of living and standard of living is already destined. Your material happiness and distress जो आपके जीवन में आपको आना है ना, ये लिखित है. So sometimes people want to become very rich, but your karma, your prarabdha karma is both happiness and distress, और वो दोनों आने वाला है और वो समय अनुसार चलता है. जब खराब टाइम आना है तो आपका जो अटैचमेंट है ना वहां पर स्ट्राइक करता है. जनरली पीपल आर अटैच्ड टू मटेरियल थिंग्स लाइक मनी or some relationships, etc. So then they get the pushback from their karma, they get from there. So especially this happens with money so much that पैसा मिलता है, फिर आदमी इन्वेस्ट करता है, रटक जाता है. बोलने के लिए करोड़पति है, लेकिन अभी बोलो करोड़ लेकर आ सकता है क्या? That's the situation with everyone. So actually speaking, even the mundane, materially rich person is also not really rich. They have a certain standard of living that they have accrued by good karma, that is there, but that will remain anyways. It is interesting, sometimes you see in these very rich people's houses, we find like, we went for a program earlier this week, and Bandra, top floor, sea facing, very so-called high class house, we had this program. So I was wondering actually, who's enjoying? Children are abroad, husband wife are pretty old. Who's enjoying this huge place? The bathroom also was extraordinary. Anyways, where I'll describe what bathroom. It was like that actually. I thought, we'll shoot a video. Say, people can spend lakhs of rupees in a bathroom. They have made the whole bathroom with such high class finishing. Imagine नहीं कर सकते. I didn't check whether it was gold or silver, वो check नहीं किया. But the idea is how people spend. So the question was, who's enjoying? I was thinking, who's enjoying? Who's enjoying? Servants are enjoying. Servants are enjoying. Because the children are abroad. Whose karma is it to enjoy that place? Servants. So you see, like this happens, you see, even luxury cars. Who actually enjoys the driving? The driver. Because you will find that in his bhagya, it is there that he is going to have a nice ride. Is there. So this material enjoyment is already karmic, it is destined. You don't have to work for it. तस्यैव हेतो प्रयते तकोविदो न लभ्यते यद ब्रह्मताम उपर्यद तल लभ्यते यद दुखवद अन्यत सुखम कालेन सर्वत्र कबीर रमसा. अगर एनर्जी डालना है ना किधर, ऐसी चीज पे डालो जो ये मटेरियल वर्ल्ड में उपलब्ध नहीं है. दैट इज कृष्ण कॉन्शियसनेस. भक्ति में डालो. बिकॉज दिस इज कार्मिक. आपके हार्ड वर्क से वो चेंज नहीं होता है. नहीं होता है. किसी के हार्ड वर्क से भाग्य, प्रारब्ध कर्मा जो है, इट हैज टू कम. विंडोज आर देयर, दैट मीन्स यस देयर आर सर्टेन अपॉर्चुनिटीज वेयर इन आप हार्ड वर्क करेंगे तो उसका रिजल्ट मिल सकता है, एटसेट्रा. बट द एंडेवर, इफ द एंडेवर इज टू अक्यूमुलेट, नोबडी कैन बी हैप्पी बाय अक्यूमुलेशन. अनफॉर्चुनेटली इस बात का सीखना कोई देता नहीं है. पीपल इनफैक्ट थिंक दैट मेरा बैंक बैलेंस ज्यादा है So I am more successful, I am better than others. But this is a very big illusion. Like this, we've seen a couple of donors like this who have so much of money, and actually their staff are the ones who take care of the property, who live in the property, who enjoy it, who maintain it. They are actually how much illusion one lives in that the owner is thinking, I built it, I am enjoying, and they are there to assist me, but they are also enjoying. And kitna karna hai, sirf salam, boss aaye to salam thoko bas. But they are also enjoying. So in this way, your material happiness and distress is destined. आप नहीं बदल सकते, और आप जहां पर भी जाएंगे वो आपके साथ आएगा, कुछ भी करेंगे. So we should stop thinking that by my work or because I am doing this, it's coming. No, no, no. This is karma that we are supposed to get. So endeavor is meant to go back to the spiritual world. That endeavor is for bhakti. That's what we should be very clear about. This philosophical orientation is meant to orient us in this direction. भक्ति में एनर्जी डालना है तो ये समझने में और फिर अप्लाई करने में डालो, इतना इजी नहीं है. Of course, simple for the simple, but the endeavor to overcome the mind, always be in a Vaishnava Sangha, getting over our anarthas, it requires a lot of mercy from Krishna. It requires a lot of endeavor. It takes energy, it takes time. So, इसलिए our mind should always be oriented in that direction. We should push it. भक्ति में कैसे आगे बढ़ू, भक्ति में कैसे आगे बढ़ू, ये बाकी सब प्रारब्ध के अनुसार आना है. ये शरीर है ना, तब तक प्रारब्ध आना है. Is going to come till your last breath. If the last 5 years of your life are supposed to end in misery, it will invariably. But you can choose. If you are in bhakti, you will at least be devotional. Your mind will be focused on Krishna and you will get lot of vairagya. But a person who's material, they will just suffer. Incessantly, they will suffer. So therefore, the Bhagavatam pushes us to perform the highest dharma, which is paro dharma, which is what bhakti, yato bhakti radhokshade. And this discussion that we are having today is about removing the anarthas that are there, which cause us to perform mixed bhakti. That's the discussion. So, like for example, here this is Vaikuntha, and in Vaikuntha, these Vaikuntha Vasis, they are very extraordinarily beautiful, and they all look like the Lord. Those who Vaikuntha Nath, Vishnu is Vaikuntha Pati, is Vaikuntha Murthy. He is the Lord of Vaikuntha. He is Lakshmi Pati. And there are millions of Lakshmi. Lakshmi Sahastra Shata Sambrama Sevya Manav. Thousands of Lakshmis they are serving. And their husband wives are also there. It's amazing that family life and community exists in Vaikuntha also. Only thing is, Kuntha is not there. Kuntha means misery, anxiety. Anxiety is not there. In this material world, if there is something which is real, that is anxiety. Don't most of us go through it all the time? Anxiety. Vaikuntha means without anxiety. How nice a place to be in. It's interesting because there is water in this world, there is thirst, there is water to quench. You feel hungry, there is food. You also want to be happy, you want to be anxiety free. लेकिन क्यों नहीं होता है? Where is that place? कहाँ पर है? It's Vaikuntha. Is there. We have to become qualified to go there. You can't just land up in America because you want to. You need a visa. And also you need Trump to be favorable. In the same way, you need the favor of the personalities who will allow you to go in that planet. You need to please them. So that's Krishna. We please Krishna, you can go to Vaikuntha. So that's what this human life is meant for. So the devotee means what? He's not even trying for, his pure devotion is what? Salukya, Sharshti, Samipya, Sarupya. These are the 5 kinds of liberation. He doesn't want Salokya. Salokya means he doesn't want to even, he's not asking for it. कि भाई मेरे को भगवान के सेम लोक में रहने का है. I want to stay in the Lord's, I want to stay on that planet. Salokya, Sharshti. Sharshti means having power similar to the Lord. Having all the siddhis like that. Doesn't ask for that. Samipya, भगवान के निकट रहना है. Doesn't ask for it. Sarupya, having a form of the Lord, like in Vaikuntha they all have. Or Ekatva, that is the fifth one. So the idea is that the devotee is praying what? That अगर ये सेवा में काम में आएगा तो ठीक है वरना नहीं चाहिए. My service, that's my offering to Krishna. Bas, I'm happy in my service. I'm happy in my situation. Why? Because I'm just getting opportunity to serve the Lord. That's the devotee's mood. This is the example that Kapila Muni gives, pure devotional service. Devotee ये भी नहीं बोलता है मेरे को back to Godhead जाने का है. Whatever, whichever situation the Lord puts me, I'll go. I'll continue in my position as a servant of the servant of the servant. So, we see pure devotion over material and spiritual rewards. And thus, in this way, through Lord Kapila's instructions to Mother Devahuti, we understand in this section about what is pure devotional service, what is mixed devotional service, and what should we consciously endeavor for. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Any questions or comments? Yes, bro. Interesting question. Is coming to Krishna consciousness also destined? Answer is yes and no. Sometimes there are yes, because there is some sukruti is there, purvajanam. Every person here sitting here is there is something in your previous lives we performed some devotional service. That is why we take it up from where we left off. So from where we left off, that is because Purva Janam, all of us have done some kind of spiritual activity. So Sukruti we have accumulated. No, because the part wherein devotees have gone out of their own compassion and brought you inside, that is because of devotees' mercy. So it's a combination of both. It's Vaishnav Kripa as well as Purva Janam Sukruti. That's why in our outreach program, we try to reach out to so many, but only few pick up. Why is it? Those who are Sukruti, they pick up. But in some cases, it is actually very powerful, elevated Vaishnavas. They also carry the substance to create the Sukruti. Like when Srila Prabhupada was explaining this concept, so many of his Western disciples, they said in our background, family background, we didn't have any piety. कुछ अच्छा नहीं किया है, कुछ पुण्य नहीं किया है. So how come we are getting this benefit? How come we have taken up devotional life? So Prabhupada replied, because I created your piety. So the association with pure devotees is so powerful that even if one doesn't have Sukruti, he develops it. So if we have to answer about ourselves, well, it's both. But certainly Vaishnava Kripa is something very special and more important. Okay, yes, bro.
You mentioned that we shouldn't be over-engineering in the material life, but in the organization of the business, you often have targets, and you are also rewarded based on that, and you have your other people also around you, where they are also performing, and you rewarded based on that. So how do you strike a balance?
Just ask this question: whom do you want to please at the end? That's it. Whom do you want to please at the end? So balance is more about duty. How to function in this world, Krishna says, do your duty, do it for me. So when our focus is on pleasing Krishna, then everything else is a question of duty, material aspects especially. The ones that you mentioned. Like if there is there is some work or there is some performance pressure, etc. Why is there this kind of pressure? Because somebody else wants to enjoy it. So in any case, you are pleasing someone. Why not make Krishna that person? Why not make Vaishnavas those personalities whom you will end up pleasing? That's how you grow. Our spiritual authorities are actually, through their blessings, through their mercy, we actually elevate ourselves. We uplift. We get uplifted because they are blessing us continuously. Spiritual life is not just our endeavor. So much mercy is being given. Somebody is reaching out, is stretching themselves so that we can benefit. Is that not mercy? So we are getting blessed continuously. So you see the gains. इतना मेहनत करने पर क्या होगा, कौन सा रिवॉर्ड, एंड वो कितना काम में आएगा. Whereas if I grow in devotional life more and more, क्या benefit है और कितना reward आएगा. This analysis, evaluation, all the time we should do. And then it is revealed when we chant Hare Krishna and when we follow the authorities, you read scriptures, you follow the process of Bhakti Yoga, you will see that in every situation your discrimination becomes finer and finer. Your buddhi becomes sharper and sharper. Viveka becomes clearer and clearer. You know exactly what is to be done in every situation. You know. That is the mercy and blessing of Krishna and Vaishnavas. So that's the way. In every situation, you evaluate, analyze. This is called being conscious. So we're talking about Krishna consciousness, but first let's be conscious, then Krishna conscious. Okay?
There are questions on that. I will ask you. Krishna Prabhu, as you told in the beginning about glorification, please explain to what extent we should glorify senior devotees and other devotees when we want to sincerely glorify them. And one more question is that it was.
Yeah, we will take one after the other. To what extent should we glorify devotees? Unlimitedly. Anantashesh is glorifying the Supreme Lord and with thousands of hoods incessantly, and he is not completed yet. So Vaishnavas are Krishna's amshas, they are very special personalities. So how much should we glorify devotees? Unlimitedly, all the time. Try to surround yourself with devotees and you will see such nice qualities that you can naturally glorify them. Naturally. How? Who? It is only when there is deep envy one cannot glorify. Otherwise, how can we not see good qualities in others? Not possible. So that much we should glorify.
It was wonderful for introspection. You was about to ask a question in the end. What was it?
So what is the question?
About the Bhakti. Thank you for covering that you were.
Oh, it's a comment. It's a comment. Okay. It's not a question.
Krishna Prabhu, you often want our family members to join the Krishna Conscious movement, but they don't respond positively. How to guide them towards the push?
Our family members, we want them to take up Krishna consciousness. How do we guide them? Well, we are Krishna's family, Vasudeva Kutumbakam. So it's not only our blood relatives are our relatives. Everybody is a relative. जो सुनता है उसको पकड़ो. Simple formula है. And this goes on for everyone. I am also included in that. We try to preach to our family members, कुछ नहीं होने वाला है. Other person will go and preach to them, they may listen. So let others do that job, I'll do my job. So we should try to listen, we should try to preach to those who listen to us.
How do we handle devotional japa when we get mentally exhausted
Due to daily burdens, how do we handle japa? Is that the question? Yeah. So daily burden, yeah, it's a fact that the duties are like a daily burden. That's why this word is there, burden. Burden matlab you carry something that you don't want to. Our endeavor and our prayer to Krishna should be that don't make japa a burden for us. We should not be feeling, अगर वो है तो कुछ बड़ा red flag. So japa should, so how is that going to happen? It happens through mercy and blessings and conscious endeavor, like everything else. So sit with devotees and chant with them. That is the solution. So when you feel exhausted, actually we should work out our life in such a way that यहाँ तक पहुँचता ही नहीं है बात कि it becomes a burden. मतलब how to manage? No, priorities should be clear. Priorities should be worked out. Our acharyas, they were like that. If they didn't, I know so many devotees here also, if they don't finish their rounds, they will not take breakfast. They will not take prasadam. That's called seriousness. Prasad nahi lete jab tak mala nahi hua tab. I know so many of them like this. So that's if you're serious, then you do. Yes, question.
Thank you so much for this. Sometimes I've come across this question, and people understand that whatever we get is because of our purvas and karma, or karma is there. Then there's a nice saying, right, is succeed. So we are anyways working on it, and one day we'll get success. But I understand this concept that the lifestyle and whatever the major events is, that's fixed in the life. So how to explain? I also get sometimes.
Through examples. You see, we just explained. Were you able to understand? That who's enjoying? Servants are enjoying. They're enjoying or not? How difficult is it to understand that these things are, they're destined? There are people who may be in huge debt, huge debt. They still enjoy a nice lifestyle. Why is it like this? Because that part is destined, so that's coming. Whereas debt is also destined with them, that's coming. So that over endeavor of thinking that I will do, that is out of ignorance because our education system doesn't teach us Bhagavad Gita. That's the reason. बचपन से पता होता तो इतना थोड़ी ना मगजमारी करते. So more than explaining to others, we need to explain to ourselves. Okay. Yes.
Really, gunas and bhakti are nice, very simple. Krishna consciousness, but at times we are subjected to different gunas and modes of growth, as in the Mother Devahuti. Can I still expect that my soul is connected and still keep it gunas are there?
You know, one time one disciple asked Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, I am in Maya. Why is it that Maya is so strong? Srila Prabhupada replied, because your purpose is not strong. So why are we stuck? Because our purpose is like that. We're not strong enough. If our determination is very strong, then despite all odds, we will endeavor to do what is right, which is helpful to grow in Krishna consciousness, which is surrender. The first principle of surrender is anukulyasa sankalpa. Whatever is favorable, we accept. So sometimes we are struggling because we are stuck and attached to our habits, association, etc., etc. Pratikulyasa varjanam, that is the second principle of surrender. So we want to give up that which is unfavorable. So when we practically apply surrender, you will find that it's progressive. That means 5 साल पहले जो चीज के लिए मैं endeavor कर रहा था, जितना struggle था भक्ति में, आज struggle तो है लेकिन वो struggle नहीं है आज. So that's how you realize that yeah, I've made progress. So there is struggle is going to be there because we are in the material world. The question is, what is our direction and orientation? If we are moving towards Krishna, so the struggle will be towards Krishna, but then you'll be coming closer to him. But if our orientation is wrong, either our direction mein, so we are going further away. So that question we must ask ourselves, honestly. That we get the answers there. Yes, bro.
Yeah. Can devotion still be called pure? Somebody saying equal
You tell me. That's the test of the class, isn't it? The last verse we discussed that he doesn't want all of this. He says, just let me in my situation. Whatever I don't have is because of my karma. Accept it. Okay, Krishna, whatever you want. So acceptance of what happens in our life as being our own karma phal, and then endeavoring in that to achieve Krishna consciousness, that is actually pure devotional service. That is Shuddha Bhakti. Right? So this is what we can practice. Naturally, one may want good health. There's nothing wrong about it. Then the next question is what it is for, to enjoy or to serve Krishna. That becomes the next question. One may want wealth also. Again, the next question: what is it meant for? Is it meant to serve Krishna, or is it meant for one's own enjoyment? These questions we have to ask ourselves. So you understand कि मेरा pure है कि नहीं. So naturally, in the beginning stages, it is not pure. But when we perform devotional service, that means we are actively engaged. So that means that now what is happening is that we are purifying ourselves. We are in good association. We are getting purified. Process आगे बढ़ रहा है. So that should never stop. And this is the aspiration. यहाँ पहुंचना है. Like that. One time I had asked our Guru Maharaj, what we should pray for. He said we should pray for pure devotional service. And तभी समझ में नहीं आया क्या है इसका मतलब. So of course I was confused. Seeing the look on my face, uh, he said, but if that's too much, then you should pray that at least you can chant. So like this. Okay. Any final question?
How
Okay.
should we react to our bodily ailments when that these are the phenomena of
How to react to bodily ailments? Go to the doctor. What else? Make yourself fit, because the body is a vehicle to serve Krishna. That's what it is. Krishna consciousness is not indifference towards what is going on. It just means that now everything is meant for Krishna's pleasure. That's what it is. Okay. So shall we end here?